Good evening and welcome to the council meeting of August 12th, 2024. We have with us today Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Owen Spag, Councillor Mitch Kajowski, Councillor Peter Berkeley, myself, Mayor Mitchell Brownstein, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Mike Cohen. We also have the Associate City Manager, Nadia DeFuria, and we have Florine Abunakwe, who is our City Clerk, and Regine Benoit. And we don't have technology. For some reason, we had a blowout here in City Hall, so everything's going to be taped through my phone. And when you're speaking, please be sure to have my phone. Otherwise, we won't be hearing you. So we're going to pass it around as needed. In order to start the meeting, the first thing I would ask Councillor Cohen, and you can do it from there, I'll repeat it, is to adopt the agenda. Councillor Cohen? Yes, moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. Then basically, usually we have a land acknowledgement. We're going to have to pass on that today. It's recorded. But we do have rules that we usually play. There generally is a question period at the beginning and the end of the meeting. The questions can be asked in person or in advance. We have received some questions in writing in advance, so those will be read after the people who ask their questions who are in the room. You have to ask the questions based on issues that are on the agenda or city business in general. There is the second question period after the meeting, and that question period has to deal with issues that were dealt with during the meeting. So now we're going much faster without technology. So now we're going to move into question period, and I'm going to ask the first questioner to take my phone and ask a question. So Susie, that's where you can help. Make sure that Rick Leckner has my phone while he speaks. You don't have to run. Slowly, no accident. Slowly. And don't worry, this tape will be edited to remove all the spaces that.
Rich, it's like the olden days of dollar counting. Good evening, everyone. I understand that the Trump campaign apparently was hacked. I'm hoping that the problems you're having here this evening are not from some other local sources who at this point shall remain unnamed. I wanted to take a moment because I think what's on the minds of a lot of people is Cavendish, or the lack of it. And I want to first congratulate Dita for the leadership role she has taken in pushing this thing forward unrelentlessly. I've known about this since the days of Bernie Lane back in God knows when, too many years ago. But really, it's time we did something. Okay. What's been going on with the city of Montreal, in a word, is shameful, because they have, as many of you may know, been granted a $50 million piece of land, the Hippodrome, for $1 back in 2017 on the condition that they would fund a Cavendish. That has not happened. Mysteriously, BAT commission hearings have not taken place. Not so mysteriously, the Cavendish project has been removed by the city's capital and the agglomeration's capital works program. Recently, again, thanks to Dina's leadership and the mayor, as well as the mayors of Saint Laurent and Tanana Royal, we have put together the Cavendish Alliance, which also includes a number of key business people in the Namur de la Savannah corridor. It's time, though, for the public to get involved. That is why I'm happy to announce this evening that as of the last day or two, there is a petition online of La Santé Nationale exprimée votre opinion, and it's in both languages, in English and French. It's simple to navigate, and we need thousands and thousands of signatures to demand that no further funding be allocated to the Hippodrome project until the city of Montreal puts Cavendish back on the capital works program. This affects all of us every day. As we know, you can't get out of Hampstead or Côte Saint-Luc in the morning. You can't cross the Carry. Half of the people who are trying to cross the Carry don't want to. They want to go west. So let's hope that the petition, which again is online, will find favor with a lot of people, and I appreciate again Dita's help, the mayor's help, and let's move forward and rally the troops to make this a meaningful decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Speak loudly.
Go ahead.
Right, so I want to thank Rick and Capital Alliance for being very supportive of this effort. We did work towards this petition, and Elizabeth Prass also has to be thanked because she's the one she's the M&A from Darcy McGee that's going to be sponsoring it at the National Assembly. The petition is online, it's very easy to sign. It's a 3-step process. Fill out the form, send it in, and then once you get the email from the National Assembly website, then you can just click on it and confirm your signature. And basically the petition is to put Cavendish back on track before they give any funding for the housing project on the Hippodrome. It's a simple ask. Some people have already said, well, we should be asking that they return the land because they violated the agreement. But here it's very simple. The City of Montreal will ask the federal and provincial government for funding. It's clear. They said so on April 19th when they announced the Namur Hippodrome project. So what we've told Minister Fraser, we asked Minister Fraser, it was a Cavendish caucus that was set up, made up of all the MPs and MNAs from the various ridings and districts, not to finance, not to give further funding before they commit to the Cavendish extension. And now we're going to ask, and have been asking the Minister of Finance, Girard, for the past year, actually, since June 2023. Now we're going to be asking it through a petition, and we hope that thousands of people are going to sign that petition, saying to put Cavendish back on track before they pursue the development of the Hippodrome site. And I hope the council is going to share that petition. I know that a lot of the councillors have already said that their constituents will be signing it, and we'll see how it goes. We just put it in for 60 days. I think it's going to be enough time to get the support from the citizens that we need. Thank you.
Excellent. So that is really good news, and I want to also thank Councilor Brooklyn for all the hard work on that. There's been a lot. The petition is like the final step after getting a coalition of politicians together, a coalition of business leaders together. It seems that everybody wants it. Everybody wants it. We're willing to have it to be pedestrian walkways and a bike path and a road. And we want it to be done. There was an agreement that they got planned for $1. This was to fulfill their terms of the agreement. So hopefully we'll see that this project is moved forward if the people come out and support the petition, which will be the sort of the final level. And those are the people, and you are the people that need it, and you have to go out there and spend that 30 seconds or a minute of your day to fill out that petition. So it will be posted on online, and we'll be sending out notices to ensure that everybody knows about it.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment on this subject?
Yes, let's go.
Do I need the phone?
Yeah, the phone would be good.
Is Schwartz going to bring it to me? So, phone way of life. Okay. So, first off, really pleased to have one of our most prominent new residents, Rick Lecter, and his wife Gloria, who was my camp counselor when I was 3 years old at the Côte Saint-Luc Kerwin Park. And really great to have you here in Côte Saint-Luc. And we're really lucky to have someone of Rick's stature now living in our community and, partnering with us on such an important issue. But I think it's great that Elizabeth Prass is on board with this. But we also have, I think, a secret weapon. And that's a very high-profile minister in the CAC government who lives in Darcy riding, and that is Pascal Derry, who was a minister. So she knows the problem of the traffic rate that you're talking about. And I think effort should be made for her to bring it to the CAC caucus, because we don't have, obviously, a CAC M&A, but she's pretty close. And she's lived in Côte Saint-Luc most of her life. She's very receptive. I've communicated with her on a lot of issues. And I would like to think that she can be an ally for us. So I would recommend we do that. I remember the days, Rick remembers the days, when late Bernard Lang would go on and saying, we don't need it, we don't want it, we can't afford it. Those days are gone, and we're all online, and I think, again, this is just another example of a Montreal administration that's completely out of touch with reality and operating as if, they have a dictatorship, and they do not consult, and when they consult, they don't listen to what people say. Just look what they've done with the bike paths. So let's hope. I'm glad. I know Anthony Housefather is whispering into the ear of the housing minister, and we're hoping that Pascal Derry can do the same thing with the CAC government. That's the only language that Valerie Plant's administration is going to understand. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Here's the go, Councillor back.
No, I just want to second what's already been said. I think we're very, very lucky to have people that are so passionate about having the campus extension done. I think we hear about this almost every week, and to have activists and people that come in and actually push this agenda forward with the limitations that we have is incredible to see this happening. I'm going to reiterate what I said last time. I still think that if this doesn't go through, we should pay for the study and charge back Montreal. That's my position on it. I said it in council, on the record. I still think this is something we should do if this doesn't work out. That's it. Thank you.
That's early.
Well, I'll just add my 2 cents in light of Friday's storm, where, luckily, Côte Saint-Luc, we were not one of the ones that was affected as much as some of the other parts of the island, but even in Côte Saint-Luc, we had temporary closures of part of the Cavendish underpass and the Côte Saint-Luc Road underpass on Friday night. The fact is, we need to make sure we have another way out of the city for the majority of our residents who are surrounded by rail lines on all sides. Having the Cavendish extension would be another route out in case of emergency. And that's why, especially given these storms of the century that seem to happen almost every year now, with climate change and global warming and so on, we need to offer residents another way in and out of the city. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So the next question, Jeremy Biscuit.
Hi, good evening. So my question is in regards to the enforcement of bylaws in apartment buildings. Last month, I smelled cigarette smoke in the garage of the building I live in. I decided to check the Côte Saint-Luc bylaws, and it did mention in the tobacco bylaw that you're not allowed to smoke in the common areas of apartment buildings. I decided to call security as my father did. My father was told it's a police matter. I was told the inside of the building has to do with the building's management. After I responded with the specific bylaw, I was then called by a security officer who told me this is a gray area and they are looking into it. So my question is, why there are bylaws in Côte Saint-Luc that cannot be enforced, or that security doesn't know if it could be enforced? Thank you.
Is there anything on council that would have a quick answer on the smoking bylaw requirement? Prohibition in garages.
So I can't speak to the garages, but I'll speak to the, Côte Saint-Luc was the first city in the province of Quebec that banned smoking in parks and playground areas. Now, we did it at the time knowing that it was not fully enforceable, in that the public security officers weren't able to enforce it, only the police would, and at the time the police had said to us that they weren't, they didn't say they were or wouldn't. We adopted it anyway. Of course, Côte Saint-Luc, we are often leaders. Within a few years after we adopted this bylaw, the provincial government adopted it as well. A similar law banning smoking in parks. And now it is the police who do administer it. And if you notice our parks recently, we put in new signs over the last few years reminding residents. But in terms of parking garages, I don't have the specific answer on that.
So that was a specific question. We'll have to get back to you. And unfortunately, our public security officers are terrific and they know a lot, but they certainly enforce. And you don't see it's on issues that they deal with frequently. So your question is very specific, and we'll have to check it out to find out if there is a prohibition of smoking inside garages. And if so, we would be enforcing it. But I can't tell you about enforcement until I find out if we have that bylaw.
So, small follow-up, but it wasn't just smoking, but it was like everything in regards to apartment buildings, because when I spoke to the security guard, I was told once that Côte Saint-Luc security doesn't come in apartment buildings, and he said they usually don't.
And usually it's urban planning that would go and send an inspector for building infractions.
But so the main thing is how many people does Côte Saint-Luc security tell that Côte Saint-Luc does not own apartment buildings when they are legally obligated to apply?
You don't get the right to just enter any apartment building. Urban planning sends an inspector to inspect on certain issues, such as this issue with your garage perhaps. But public security doesn't go wandering around condos and interior buildings without a call for like help. And they don't have the authority, the police can go at any time because they're the police. The
Yes.
public security powers are limited.
Because this public security is listed in the bylaw along with urban planning and Montreal police at the same level, so.
We're not definitely at the same level.
I'll just add that, and I can share, sorry to make you come back and forth. I'll just share, there are, not in your district, but in District 4, there are some apartment buildings where we have had some issues. I won't get into specifics other than to say what usually would happen is the coordination of the different departments. So in the building I'm thinking of, which I don't want to necessarily name right now, but basically the public security coordinates with urban planning, with the police, with the fire department, where there are major issues, and what they have done is kind of like a concerted effort, because the jurisdictions sometimes overlap. Fire safety, for example, there are codes, there are bylaws within Côte Saint-Luc's fire safety. I think it's 626 anymore, the new version, whatever the update to bylaw 626 is. It's in our bylaws, but it's technically the fines are given by the fire department. So when there are major issues, and I'm not as knowledgeable on your specific building, but I guess the point is when there are major issues, usually there's a coordination with, again, public security, urban planning, the fire department, and police, and they will combine their efforts to make sure the building is fine appropriately.
Yes, thank you for that.
Councilor Lewis Cummings.
Hi.
Hey, Lewis.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Louis Cohen, and I'm here concerning two different safety issues in Côte Saint-Luc. First of all, I am dead set against speed bumps, and I'll tell you why. Specifically, speed bumps are only helping on the street in which they're situated. They do nothing for the rest of Côte Saint-Luc. So what you're doing is you're slowing down traffic on the odd street, but all the other streets, people are racing. People are not stopping at stop signs. I would love to see the speed bumps removed and the police do more spot checks to ticket people who are not following the rules. Now there's another reason why I'd like the speed bumps removed. They are bad for the environment. I'm an automotive mechanic. I know that every time you slow down for the speed bump, you are accelerating after in order to get your speed up. So you speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. We are causing in a small amount, a marginal amount of additional pollution. The police need to do more crackdowns which would protect every street rather than just the streets that have the speed bumps.
Okay, thank you. I had a meeting on the issue last week with the commander because there was a resident that was asking for speed bumps on Haywood. I won't give names. They wanted on Haywood. We don't put speed bumps on collector streets, first of all, for various reasons. Collector streets are the major streets like Haywood. So we wouldn't do that. But the commander, the station I was very attentive to the issue that there was a lot of speeding at that particular area on Haywood and agreed to have some radar traps set up and have police ready to put tickets on particular times where this resident claimed that there was more speeding at that hour. So they are very attentive. They're willing to do what they can. Of course, they have limited resources, so they cannot fix in every corner at all hours. But in this particular case, they did do a sting or whatever operation at particular hours the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've noticed it. I think we live not far in that area. I don't know if you saw police out. And we also put up a sign We put up more signage, and there was the sign saying how fast you go. So there are, it's still the sign how fast you're going if you're driving on anyone's lane. So there are a lot of different things that can be done besides speed bumps. But speed bumps on non-collector streets where you're really not supposed to be speeding at all. All those are residential neighborhoods. Do have some effect, like slowing the cars down on streets where you're supposed to be driving slowly. Those are side streets. So on certain side streets where people just think they're using as thoroughfares, we do put up speed bumps, but they're not on, you won't find them on Fleet, you won't find them on Kildare, you're not going to find them on Cavendish or Hayward. They're literally places where they make any sense.
Now you have to keep in mind also that there are people who like to speed, and what do? They take a different street to get around the speed bumps. One way or another, there are far too many speeders, far too many people who do not make the stop signs properly, all throughout, everywhere, not just in Côte Saint-Luc, but especially in Côte Saint-Luc. Now my second question has to do with another safety issue. I see all the time young kids on electric scooters, and they are not with their parents, and what happens is I see them going down the middle of the street. They're not staying to one side, they're not on the sidewalk, but they are dead in the middle of the street because they want to make a left turn or whatever. Now keep in mind that electric scooters do not have any mirrors for the people to look behind them. And also I see a lot of adults who are walking, pushing their carriages in the middle of the street. Why is there no bylaw or issue or way to get people to follow the rules, and not, why do we have sidewalks if they're walking down the middle of the street? And I mean the middle of the street. I don't mean in the first lane.
Councilor Sinai, can we just check that it's still recording?
He says it's not. Exactly, that's an idiot for nothing.
Let's just see.
Says no sound effect.
I want to see.
I've been, it was a black
No, it's
screen.
22 minutes. No, it's recorded.
It makes the waves.
It's recording now.
Every phone's different, don't
No,
activate.
it's recording all the time.
That's just because you see the wave, you wait for it.
Yeah, it's very wave.
No,
No,
the name,
it's not recording all the time.
the name of the house.
I'll just answer it if you're recording.
I'm recording.
So, good evening, Mr. Lewis. I do feel your pain when it comes to scooters. I think since the beginning of their appearances in about 4 years ago, we've seen a lot of them come out, especially some of the ride sharing. There was the Bird company that tried to put them a little bit everywhere, so we had these discussions around safety as well. It's very difficult because it has to do with the SAC, it has to do with many different entities that regulate these things. I will point to you, and I'll send it to you via email, to a new ban from, it was posted on July 30th from the SAC, where motorcycles, scooters, and other mopeds that do not meet federal safety standards are now banned in Quebec. And that's going to be implemented by the SUV. So these are things that you've seen scooters that look like a motorcycle, that are really electric, that have pedals. These won't be allowed anymore. Yes, it's going to take some time for the SUV to do their job and to make sure that people are educated. But this just came out, and I'll share it with you. I'll share it with council. So it's basically from CBC News, where Montreal has scooters and mopeds that don't meet safety standards. So this is one step the government is taking towards that. It's not the municipality in question that can go and overstep on those rules.
Now what about the number of adults that I mentioned who are walking with either their baby carriages or just walking side by side, sometimes 3 abreast in the street? If we have sidewalks, that is meant for pedestrians. It's meant for carriages. is there no way to get them back on the sidewalks?
Well, you know, I've looked into that because I see it a lot on Saturdays as well, Saturday mornings. I had 3 kids under 3 at one point. I did the same, to be honest, and there's a reason why when the carriages hit those bumps at every meter and the baby's sleeping, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So it's easier to go where it's smoother. I'm not making excuses for everybody, I'm just saying that in general some people will opt for that. It's true that if it's a safety issue around, you know, a busy street, etc., but where you live, I see it all the time, and a lot of the times there's less cars than pedestrians in certain instances.
I mean, you have to keep in mind that when people are walking down the street, especially when it's close to an intersection, with the drivers who are speeding, who suddenly go around the turn, they're not expecting to see either a child on a scooter or someone pushing a baby carriage.
Just way past 3 minutes on this question. Thank you. You're 3 minutes. You've gone way past. So any other further questions you'll have to send in writing and give you a response. All right. So now we have some written questions. Right. So usually give us some. First one is there was flooding this week as we know. And there are certain streets within our city. This is from Janice Union, 5622. There was a lot of flooding on Pinedale between Fleet and Bailey. For the second year in a row, our section of the street is experiencing flooding, whereas the streets around us have not. The severe rainstorms seem to be the norm, and I would like to know what the city plans to do to ensure that this does not happen again. So what the city has been doing, and here are some preventative measures the city took prior to the storm. We spent over $70,000 to make sure that our stormwater pipes in District 3 and elsewhere were cleared. This included sending down CCTV cameras. We've inspected and re-inspected all of our pump stations. We added an extra catch basin at Rosedale. We'll be looking at doing an hydraulic study to see where, if any, there are potential weaknesses in our system. There's also many steps residents should take to prevent flooding in their homes. Check and maintain the non-return valve annually. Direct the roof and backyard runoff water away from your building. Check and clean the grills at the lower end of the driveway. Inspect and repair any cracks in the basement walls. Check and maintain the French drain and its connection. Keep a standby pump in case of emergency. Now, we are fortunate in Côte Saint-Luc that the streets that were affected were limited. There were 3 or 4 streets that were affected, and we want to find ways that we can do better. So we have done better than other cities and done better than we've done in previous storms because of the work that we've done on our infrastructure. So we will continue to try to improve. But in the meantime, we are assisting those that have been affected in their cleanup to ensure that we help in getting garbage removed if they leave it out on bulky waste day, which I think is on Friday, and insisting in any other ways that we possibly can to make the transition back to normal for those homes affected as quick and efficient as possible. The next question is from the Franco family at 5700 Rembrandt. Given the rise of anti-Semitic incidents in Montreal and the significant population of Jewish residents visibly identifiable or not in Côte Saint-Luc, along with schools and synagogues, what plans do you have in place proactively to prevent and protect this community from being targeted in the near and distant future? Now, the city of Côte Saint-Luc, unlike most cities, I mean, you can't hear me back there. There's no mic. I'm putting it closer to me. I'm putting the mic closer to me so you're really here. Okay. All right. Yes, I will be back on the Dramatic Society stage right now, performing. I'll sing it. It'll be loud. So unlike other cities, we have 3 levels. We don't have just the police. We have the police, and in addition to police, we have the level of public security, VCOPs and EMS. VCOPs and EMS are there unlike in other cities, we have an emergency response for anybody that's gets hurt. We have the emergency medical services. I think it's their 60th anniversary this year. And we have volunteer citizens on patrol who are going around the city all the time to make sure that things are okay. And if they see something that's not looking so great, then they'll inform public security and, if necessary, the police. So we are on top of the situation. I had a meeting with the commander last week to go over the situation in terms of security in Côte Saint-Luc, and he basically reconfirmed what I'm saying right now, is that we are very attentive to our streets through the 3 levels that we have in order to have security, and maybe that is part of the reason why it's been relatively quiet here. I hope it maintains, that it stays that way. We do have a high Jewish population with a lot of schools and synagogues in our boundaries, so we do want everybody to feel safe, but we certainly have maximum safety and security at all 3 levels, looking into the situation, and will continue to do so. We have a great commander at Station 9 who has been working very closely with us on this. All right, the next question. Marilyn Perrin from 7905 Côte Saint-Luc. I'm a resident of a 100-unit private condo building in Côte Saint-Luc. We do not have a doorman or any form of security in our building. We do, however, have a condo board whose members are derelict in their duties. It's an opinion. Sadly, the person running these are opinions I'm not going to read. It makes it difficult. We, in our building, let's see. Basically, get to the question because it's long. The question is, there are alleged businesses that are running in the building, in the condo. A company that is advertised online at our address operates in the evenings, and I do not feel a residential building is an authorized, approved setting for a business to operate. Is there not a bylaw that would restrict this? So the response is, this complaint in its entirety as written will be forwarded to urbanplanning@cotesaintluc.org. That's where you would generally send a complaint, but we'll send it for you to our urban planning department. Any similar complaints could always be sent to urbanplanning@cotesaintluc.org. And an inspector shall contact the owner, as well as the condo board, to inform them that a business such as the one you are alleging to exist is currently not permitted in a strictly residential zone. So we will follow up on that situation, and thank you for writing. Okay, I think that's it for questions. I think that's it. Okay, so that is it for questions. Now we're going to go into the more tricky part of the meeting where everybody needs to move and second. Thank you, Rick Lechner, for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all your help. Okay. So approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen, approval of the minutes.
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? Everybody's in favor. Excellent. Any business arising from the minutes? Any government correspondence? The monthly departmental reports. Councillor Schuster. Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by, I'll just do it for now. Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Erdely. And now we will pass it to whoever wishes to speak first. Who would like to speak? Pass this to Councillor Schuster. Thank you. Thank you. Susie Schwartz. Really, that was very helpful.
Very briefly, and I'll use my stage voice, and speaking of my stage voice, the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society is presenting Zadie's and Ladies, September 12th to 15th, with a wonderful cast of 22 amateur performers. It is a takeoff on Guys and Dolls, and it's quite funny, and let's support our summer work seniors. The recreation guide is now available online at the city's website, cotesaintluc.org. Registration for fall and I believe also winter programming starts for residents August 20th at 8 a.m. And just a note that swimming lessons sell out quickly, so come prepared. And registration can be done online through Activitech or in person at the ACC. The ACC and how does that affect? Okay, I'm not sure. The ACC and GYM have their annual maintenance shutdown from August 17th and reopen September 9th. So I'm not sure how that affects registration, so don't quote me on that. I encourage registration online. Park Haven Pool will be going into reduced hours, and then we'll close on Labor Day weekend, so while the sun is still shining, I encourage people to take advantage. Recreation is currently working on implementing Amelia, which is a new software and accompanying hardware to improve resident user experiences and staff efficiency in registering for programs. So that will be implemented throughout the year. And the last part of my report is just to mention that I've conducted what I call my summer shadowing series, where I as a counselor have taken on trying to learn about different departments. I'm very involved in recreation, and so I decided to go and learn about public security and EMS. I did a ride along in mid-July. Last Monday, I shadowed at the library and learned about the 5,000 new books and DVDs and things that come into our library every year and how all that works. And today I spent the day with Public Works getting a tour, and it was all really informative. I encourage every council member of this council, of other municipal councils, to take the time and get to do a day in the life and see how different things function and how really appreciate our staff. So I was really grateful to do that, and I'll be writing up a little bit about that online. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. Who wants to go next?
You can go first.
Maybe as we go closer, let's do it in order. We're going to go in order of the phone.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds good. So first of all, I'd like to apologize to everybody. I think the reason we don't have microphones today is my fault. I tripped a fuse while making tea before coming out here, so it could be my fault. And we tried to fix it, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Departmental report on the public safety side, lots of things to talk to you guys about. But I'm going to try and keep it short. First of all, anybody who knows Lieutenant Sakon, who's been with us since 2003, he's been a lieutenant with the city of Côte Saint-Luc, which is absolutely amazing, is now shifting position and coming to be the Chief Division of Operations for Public Safety. He's replacing Eddie, who left us 3 months ago. So we're very, very excited to have Lieutenant Sakon on board. He is one of those, people that really give a sense of caring when residents speak to him. When there's an issue, he's always there to speak on the phone, go there in person. So he's going to be an incredible, incredible addition to our team. So congratulations to Anthony Sakon for that. We did hire a couple of security personnel, speaking of keeping our city safe, and we'll be voting on that later on today. So I'll be talking about that real quick. Over 1,400 calls to dispatch today. This month, or last month, I should say, with a 27-second delay in answering, which is something that's really impressive for our dispatchers. And then we also have a very important nomination of Kia Saint-Pierre, who started at EMS with me when I first joined. She's a registered nurse and has been an incredible volunteer and been promoted as commander of the EMS division. So that's as a volunteer. So that's really,
it's great.
Or not commander, she's a captain. They use these terms over there. So congratulations to Kia. She's always there. She's doing some schedulings. And speaking of statistics around EMS, we've had close to 2,200 hours with about 240 calls where our units were dispatched, and we have 100% coverage by EMS volunteers, which is really impressive for the month of July, where people take vacation. And I'll also say that what is impressive is when we have amazing calls being answered. Not many people know this, but when these calls come in, it's absolutely heartwarming to see that we're part of it. So we've had a spontaneous delivery of a baby girl through EMS. It was one of those things where Urgence Santé arrived a little bit later, but EMS was there before, and our volunteer actually delivered a wonderful baby girl, healthy as well. And it's one of those things that we practice. So this week I had to have my continuous education course done for EMS. It's part of our regular training, and delivering a baby was on it. So you keep current with different things, and these are the types of things that happen in our city that we're very lucky to have.
Okay.
No, you can't.
Did they have drugs too?
No.
No drugs, not a Nazi situation. No drugs.
Speaking of services, 22 years. Cliff Jordan has been with EMS. He's celebrating 22 years. Peter Garish, 8 years. And I'm going to let Councillor Early talk about VCOP when it's his turn. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Sorry about the delay.
Thank you. No problem.
And sorry about the mics.
Well done. Okay. Go ahead. No, just go in your order. We'll get to VCOPs next.
Okay.
But, soon. Anything to report?
Well, just Curran Park, we were planning
Opening
opening soon. Originally, we were planning it for end of August, but we're gonna push it forward to accommodate more people, more residents, and the bagels that we want to get for the locals who have had to struggle through 2.5 or 3 years of park renovation. But it's done, and we're going to have the ribbon cutting before winter when the weather is still nice.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Councillor
Do you have anything else to add today, or you're already? She's done. She already gave all the good news, or at least hopeful news.
Thank you. So let's see. I'll start on the finance side. As I've been reporting the last few months, we had been hit with a very low amount or number of homes that were bought and sold last year, which led us to not hit our budget for the first time in many, many years. So based on that, we budgeted this year $2.6 million, which was roughly our number in terms of the welcome tax. I can tell you as of the latest numbers, we're at $3.6 million. So we're $1 million over, and we expect to exceed $4.5 million by the time the year is done. So that's good news, and actually I'll relate when we get to some of the items under finance as well, how that's helping us financially. In terms of water filters, we're at 53 claims that were processed, and again remind residents to please make sure they have water filters for lead if they live in a home that may have a service line that contains lead. On the environment front, in terms of organic waste, if we compare the latest numbers this year to last year, organic was neutral, recycling up 12%, and bulky waste up 22%. So I'm happy about that. And this coming Sunday, August 18th, 9 to 5, is our big drop-off. So I will be there myself with household hazardous waste, electronic waste, and shredding. I went through old tax files, the accountants, and had tax files that were 20 years old. So those I will be bringing in to be shredded. On the VCOP front, to follow up on what Councillor Sabag mentioned, so our VCOPs did 356 hours in the month of July. As an example, we had 14 VCOPs on Canada Day who were there. Throughout the month, 23 garage doors were left open. I didn't know I was one of those garage doors. A few months, my son, not me, and I'll also mention, I wasn't sure if Councillor Sabag was going to share, but on July 31st, we had a lost or missing child, a 10-year-old boy who went missing. In the end, thankfully the child was found, but I have to say it was probably the biggest mobilization, and I want to take a moment, I know not everyone is here, but I want to take a moment to thank public security, to thank VCOPs. We had about 7 VCOPs who joined in terms of, as well as public security. The police were there, like I said, in numbers I've never seen in Côte Saint-Luc to look for this child, and like I said, thankfully he was found and safe, and all was good. And last, I just want to take a moment to shift slightly to talk about Bill 96. I won't go into a long speech, other than to say I'm sure I feel the same as many of the councillors, disappointed in what we're hearing in terms of this 31-page directive with specific cases where you can use English. What What will come out of it in terms of the health sector is a lot of people will feel like they can't be bothered and just say it's not worth it. I'm not going to speak English because I don't want to get caught in not one of these situations. I read the post in the Gazette by 3 of our ministers. I'm not satisfied with it. I'm hoping to hear more, and I would say, just as a continuation of what was happening with Côte Saint-Luc in 22 other cities, right now we have our scheduled date in court. It still could be changed, but we are scheduled to be in court for Bill 96 on the municipal front, September 30th and October 1st. As we get closer and the date and time are confirmed, we'll share more, but we hope to be successful. And of course, we know that this is just the first first battle in a long war, but we hope that we will be successful. One thing I can say is we're persistent, we're vigilant, and I think we will win in the end in terms of the court case. And I'll pass it off. I don't know if Councillor Cohen wants to add something?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to record myself as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm now recording. So, yes, this is Mike Cohen with my monthly report at the council meeting, going old school. I hope you're listening, Mayor Lyon up there. It's been a busy last few weeks. Please go to my blog at mikecohen.ca and you can read my scoop, if you will, on the new medical clinic that has just opened up at the corner of Kildare and Cavendish, right in the RBC building. Very, very exciting. I went there Friday morning, had a tour, met many of the doctors. This is at a time when people can't find doctors, can't find pediatricians. This is just a wonderful addition to our community. So read all about it. There's a blood test center, private blood test center in the building. There is going to be a clinic, a medical clinic for adults that is going to be moving in actually in September. Now, of course, you can't just walk in and get an appointment. You have to go through the GAMP system. It's all explained in my blog. And they're working now on trying to get a radiology center. So Aaron Bitton, I've been working with him for a long time. He's taken over the project, chip off the old block of his dad, Gavin. He's done an amazing job with that building. And a pharmacy, by the way, will be opening there in December. And they're hoping by next summer that we'll have a coffee shop with an outdoor patio. So very exciting news for the community and for District 2. In the beginning of September, the date has not been confirmed yet, but I'm hoping at the beginning of September there will be a very important virtual meeting for our dog bylaw. This has been something I've been working with public safety on for the past year, and Jean-Marc Dubois, who is passionate about dogs, he's a dog owner himself, has done an outstanding job. I went and spent 2 hours with Jean-Marc and Philip Chalabert, our director, the other day. We went over it line by line. He's done some outstanding work. It's going to be a bylaw, toughened up, taking a strong stand against dangerous dogs, people who have too many dogs. You can't walk that too many dogs at a time. People are taking advantage. So I will let everybody know when the meeting's taking place. It will be virtual. We'll be making an effort to get as many dog owners as possible to be online. And then we'll be getting a proposal for the council to approve, hopefully by the end of the year, not the very beginning of the year. So very, very important. Our golf invitational, we called it this year, took place, very successful. I was so pleased to see the threesome of Mayor Brownstein, Councillor Verku, and Robert Lippman. I was also pleased to see the foursome of Stephen Early, James Paquette from Marymount, Councillor Mitch Kujawski, and his good friend Alan J. Levine. It just shows how golf brings former opponents together. We were raising money for our Parks Anniversary program. We had a very good turnout. We did it in association with the Men's Club. And we will now have our banquet, our awards banquet, September 30th by invitation for all the golfers as well. We'll recognize the Maison Community that night, and the mayor and council will be there. So everyone's looking forward to the new format. So thanks. I thank you everyone. Thank you to Philip Haman and Mark Mazurzer, our sponsors. our major sponsors, and Peter Lepari, who golfed in my course. You can also listen to my podcast. You can get the link at mycohen.ca. And my foursome the other day, Buddy Manis, who was the honoree, was in my foursome. But Emilio Santini, who is a Côte Saint-Luc resident, he's 16 years old. He was drafted by the Halifax Mooseheads of the Quebec Maritimes Major Junior Hockey League. He could be in the NHL one day. Nice young kid. Just finished grade 10 at Royal Vale. And so I did a podcast with him, and it was quite interesting. We got a lot of hits on it, very successful. So good to see one of our own, a real elite hockey player. And finally, the Merchant of the Month for July was La Boutique, and we went to the Carrie. It's a women's clothing store at Carrie Square, and Larry Vanetsky is the owner. You can read about that on our website, and we'll soon be announcing our Merchant of the Month for August. Of course, I'm always open to suggestions from people. So thank Regine Banon, who's here tonight, who helps me greatly by ensuring that we have that section updated, and she makes the plaques and everything. So Regine is here tonight. Thank you, Regine, for your support. We really appreciate it. And of course, to Darrell Levine. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
So you pass the phone over to Councillor Italy now. We're going to move into item 7, Financial and Information Technology Services, and Councillor Italy is going to run the this part, items 7A, B, C, and D, and then I'll even go into 8A. Then we'll pass it to somebody else.
Perfect. It's still...
Attorney, let's check.
Just check that it's still
Let's
working.
check that it's working.
Just,
I think it wasn't recording.
No, it's working. We're at 51 minutes.
Okay.
It keeps on going.
Perfect. Perfect.
On the phone or on voice record?
Voice record.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll start, I'll start with 7A. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of July 1st, 2024 to July 31st, 2024 for a total amount of $8,286,224.89 in Canadian funds. And that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0086 dated August 5th, 2024 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor?
Oh.
Any discussion, please?
Sorry.
The disbursements.
Yeah, sorry, just
I'll talk really loud. We're close by.
I'll
It's
be,
fine. We're good.
here, I'll put it in the middle. So yeah, I'll just mention briefly the highlights. We have a bond repayment, bond 95 for $3.7 million. Our second installment for the CMM, the Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal. Payments for sidewalk repairs and for wires and conduits. So that is a project we did to reinstall wires for our streetlights underground.
So moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Item number 7B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a 5-year contract to Beanfield Metro Connect for fiber optic internet connection services at 5801 Cavendish and 7500 Mackerel for a total amount of $60,900 plus applicable taxes. And that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0087 dated August 5th, 2024 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses. And that at the beginning of each calendar year of the contract term, the Treasurer shall issue a Treasurer Certificate attesting to the availability of funds at that time to cover the relevant portion of the described expense.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly. So this is to renew our internet connection. We had formerly been with Cogeco. Cogeco has been, I don't know if Cogeco was bought by Beanfield Metro Connect, or Beanfield Metro Connect bought, but it's basically the same company. But all that to say, we're actually spending less, but we've increased the speed of our internet connection by about 4 times. So paying less, but getting better service, which is always nice.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
7C.
7C.
Why it's so cold here?
Charlene's freezing.
Be it resolved that loan bylaws mentioned in the first paragraph of the preamble be financed by bonds in accordance with the following conditions. The bonds, one bond per maturity date will be dated August 26, 2024. Interest will be payable semi-annually on February 26th and August 26th of each year. The bonds will not be redeemable in advance. However, they may be redeemed with the consent of the holders in accordance with the Act regarding municipal debts and loans. The bonds will be registered in the names of the Canadian Depository for Securities Limited, CDS, and filed with it. CDS will act on behalf of its participants as a registrar for the book-based system, entry agent, and paying officer in charge of the transactions regarding its members. CDS will proceed with the transfer of funds according to legal requirements of the bonds, and for that purpose, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council authorized the City Treasurer to sign the documents required by the Canadian banking system entitled Autorisation pour le plan de débit préautorisé destiné aux entreprises. CDS will make payments of the principal and interest to members through electronic fund transfers, and for this purpose, CDS will directly withdraw the required amounts from the following account: the Royal Bank of Canada, Cavendish and Kildare branch, and that the bond shall be signed by the Mayor and the City Treasurer. The City of Côte Saint-Luc, as entitled by law, has mandated CDS to act as its fiscal authenticator agent, and the bonds will only become valid once they have been authenticated, and that with regard to the annual capital amortization scheduled for 2030 and subsequent years, the future term of the following loan bylaws, 2501 and 2505, be shorter than the one originally set, i.e. for a term of 5 years, as of August 26, 2024, instead of the terms prescribed for said amortization, each subsequent issue being for the balance or part of the balance due on the loan.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
So I'll just give a brief explanation. So this is for bylaws 2501 and 2505. So these are bylaws for the arena renovations and for some vehicles that were purchased. As is the case, and I've shared this analogy before, but as is the case with a mortgage, so I actually just renewed my mortgage, did not get the best rate. Just as, someone has, let's say, a 25-year mortgage, and every 5 years will renew their rate or renew their term. The same applies with the city, so we're at that time. These are bylaws that were adopted about 5-6 years ago, so we're at the time to renew them. We'll find out on Thursday what rate we get, and hopefully, I was saying to the City Treasurer earlier, hopefully we'll get a decent rate this time.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to the next item.
All right, next is 7D. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the partial reimbursement of loan number 24 in the amount of $144,000, representing payment in full of the balance bylaw 2502 in the amount of $143,600, and partial payment of bylaw 2505 in the total amount of $400 upon maturity of the long-term loan to be refinanced. That this amount of $144,000 be paid from the operating budget of the City of Côte Saint-Luc, and that the preambular paragraphs of the present resolution form an integral part of the operative part of this resolution.
Okay, moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So just to mention, so as I stated previously, we were renewing a loan. In this case, we decided with this bond or this loan, it was only $144,000. We could have renewed it for another 5 years, but given that we've done quite well on the welcome tax and being about $1 million higher than we expected, we decided better to pay down this $144,000 in debt. We end up saving about $25,000 in interest. And again, not necessarily knowing what the interest rates will be, because we don't find out until we actually go through the process with the CDS and with the provincial government. So all that to say was a decision made myself discussed with the treasurer, and we thought in the best interest of the city to save on interest payments by paying this off now.
Excellent. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? So carried unanimously, and now we go to 8A. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the invoice number 179894 of UMQ totaling $38,028.94 plus applicable taxes for the professional services of the Mutuelle de Prévention en Santé et Sécurité is hereby approved for payment, and that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0081 dated July 9, 2024 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So So I'll just explain briefly what this is. So we are joining with the UMQ to, allow for the services of what they call mutuelle for prevention for the CNASST. So what they do is they come to the city, they meet with the Safety and Security Committee, they ensure that we're following all the requirements of CNSST regulations, and what we've seen is the regulations change quite often. And of course, the goal is to make sure that the city, especially certain departments like Public Works, even Recreation as well, are following all the guidelines in terms of health and safety of our employees. So this is a relatively small amount, and again, we are doing it along with most cities in the province of Quebec that join with the UMQ. Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to item 8B, and 8C, and 8D, which Councillor Sabag is going to lead on. So I'm going to pass my phone to Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple of things that I'm just going to officially push forward here. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc ratifies the promotion of Anthony Tagon to Division Chief of Operations effective June 10th, 2024, that the Treasurer's Certificate 24-0082, dated August 1st, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Kajavsky.
And Councillor Schuster.
Oh, any discussion?
No.
He already discussed it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
We heard.
Carried unanimously. And we go to C.
Fantastic.
Congratulations, that's on my recorder.
Yeah. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the hiring of Dante Meldrum as Public Security Agent, part-time auxiliary, white-collar position, effective June 25th, 2024, that the Treasurer Certificate number 24-0084, dated August 1st, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next.
Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc approves the hiring of Anthony Ignoto as Public Security Agent, part-time auxiliary, white-collar position, effective July 18th, 2024, that the Treasury Certificate number 24-0084, dated August 1st, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to Councillor Schuster. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of Amy Whitney as a reception, admission, and shop attendant, auxiliary full-time white-collar position, effective July 28th, 2024. That the Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0083, dated August 1st, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're going to get some exercise tonight. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the contract amendment of Angela Marino to Treasurer and Director of Information Technology, effective June 17, 2024, and that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0090, dated August 6, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention briefly our treasurer, previous treasurer has left the city. So Angela Marino, who had been the treasurer before that, is returning at least on a temporary basis, and obviously we're going to be beginning the process to find a permanent replacement. But in the meantime, Director Marino is offering to basically help maintain and make sure we're on the right track until a new treasurer is found. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9 is deferred, so we're going to go to item number.
We didn't vote on
Oh, we did.
We have to
didn't
vote
have
on
to do it?
deferral.
Okay, moved in second, all in favor. There was discussion, and it was moved and seconded. It was moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster, all in favor. Carried unanimously, and now we go to the next item. We're deferring number 9, so we go to item number
Do we need a resolution to defer?
Do we need a resolution to defer? I don't think so.
I seem
No,
to
we're just.
recall something, no? We're okay?
I don't think you need to.
I
Do you?
remember something.
It's okay, right? No,
No,
not for this thing.
no, we do it sometimes if it's a pack item, we'll sometimes
Schuster,
do it
you'll do item
for
10A and
like for the
B.
family, let's say, or for the homeowners, so they know.
Perfect.
We'll do it for a purpose, but
Okay. That's okay. If there's legality.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Colostat Inc. for the conversion of the recreation and gymnasium HVAC system to a web-controlled platform for a total amount of $37,600 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest-bearing loan, that the city shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund, that the terms of repayment shall not exceed 10 years, that the treasurer's certificate number 24-0089 dated August 6, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that this is the industrial version of someone's Ecobee or Nest that they would have in their home, so that you can control the HVAC remotely through digital means.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to the next item, B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Group Kodiak Inc. for the purchase of 2 outdoor storage sheds for the Recreation Department for a total amount of $29,632.40 plus applicable taxes, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest-bearing loan, that the city shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund, that the terms of repayment shall not exceed 5 years, that Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0088 dated August 6, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
Just that 2 additional pool sheds were needed for the storage of large pool equipment like lawn chairs, ropes, vacuum pieces, etc.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to item 11A, Councillor Kajavsky.
Hello.
No, 11A is deferred, but 11B.
Correct, yes. All right, let's do pack. So we don't have images. Should I describe in detail?
No, 11B is minor exemption.
11B is a minor exemption.
Okay, so
And then you'll just give a general summary.
okay, I'll do my best. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 129.
No, first of all, you're doing
11B.
11B first.
11B.
Oh, that's my apologies.
It's on page
Right. It's the
464.
mistake.
Oh, it's out of order.
It's out of order, I know. It's out of order.
they're not in sequence.
That's right, we're out of order.
So we'll do that
I'm out
first,
of
and then
order.
you'll do the other stuff.
I'm out of order.
No problem.
This meeting has been hacked, I thought.
Minor. Okay, so we're the draft bylaw for minor
Yeah,
exemptions.
11B.
464.
We're adopting, right? We've given notice of motion. Right?
Notice of motion and adoption.
Okay, so I hereby give notice of motion that the draft bylaw number 2632 to be entitled Bylaw Concerning Minor Exemptions will be presented for adoption. I'll mention as well the object and scope of the draft bylaw, which allows a person in certain cases and under conditions to deviate from certain provisions of the urban planning bylaws of the city of Côte Saint-Luc. It enables the municipal council, after receiving the opinion of the PAC, to evaluate the opportunity of authorizing such an exemption with regard to the evaluation criteria set out in the present bylaw and to subject this authorization to the conditions it determines.
Moved by Councilor Kajal. Oh, no, that's a notice of, just a notice of motion.
Go to the adoption.
467.
Yeah, be it resolved that in conformity with the Act respecting land use, planning and development, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the draft bylaw number 2632 entitled Bylaw Concerning Minor Exemptions in its entirety, as well as chapter by chapter, section by section, article by article, paragraph by paragraph, subparagraph by subparagraph, and subtext by subtext, so that if any chapter, section, article, paragraph, subparagraph, or subtext should be deemed null and void by a court of competent jurisdiction, all other provisions of this bylaw shall remain valid and fully applicable. That in conformity with section 125 of the Act respecting land use, planning and development, Council delegates to the city clerk the power to fix the date, time, and place of the public consultation meeting in connection with the draft bylaw.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
We have not yet set a date for that public consultation, but I believe it'll be, we're talking about perhaps before the public meeting in September?
September 9th at 7:45.
Anyway, watch for that.
September 9th at 7:45, I think we said.
Yeah. And there are no significant changes to this bylaw in comparison to the previous minor exemption bylaw.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now you go to bed.
Now we'll go backwards, at least in my agenda. All right, here we go. Linden. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 1290536 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Erdely. Any discussion?
So this is for an improved version of a previously approved outdoor carport at 8111 Linden.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to Hudson. Councilor Kajowski.
Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 1052582 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
Very simple, a modification to the front facade, what's it called? The things, what are the things called?
Very
Stephen?
clear.
The one that you did last year.
Siding.
Siding, front siding above the garage. Thank you. Siding, it's complicated.
Charades.
Hope no one listens to this recording.
Okay,
Yeah, 5758 Hudson. Good.
so that's
Yes.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
It's easier without the pictures.
All in favor of the thing in front of the house?
I have pictures, but
Carried unanimously.
I'm really glad it's not being filmed.
so that should be entertaining.
It's okay.
That was entertaining as well.
Aluminum siding, okay.
All right, here we go. All right, ready for Irving Lake.
I don't know if it's aluminum anymore.
Be it resolved
So, okay, put the
that
wood.
the site planning and architectural integration program showing the construction of a new detached single-family dwelling on lot number 3395747 and prepared by Ariel Aaron Architect for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9, 2024 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
Beautiful house on Irving Lake.
Yeah.
All in favor of the beautiful house?
Beautiful house.
Carried unanimously.
With the thing in the front.
A little boring. but it's a beautiful house.
5607 Torque.
All right. Beautiful. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing facade modifications to the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1054044 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9, 2024 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Great break.
Yeah. More people painted their brick. Please, if anyone's listening to this recording, do not paint your brick. Do not paint your brick. It is bad for the brick. And that is all. Thank you. But
This
I
one
mean, it's
we
a nice
thought
color.
wasn't that bad.
No.
So they approve it. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to Westminster.
Andy's not here, eh?
Andy's left the room.
Yeah.
Councillor Schuster's out of the room. Next.
Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the installation of a sign, the existing freestanding sign for Clinique Auditive on lot 105 3808, and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 for the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
So I will be dissenting on this this item.
Which one is it?
The podium sign.
You're moving it.
You can't
move it into
dissent.
dissent.
Of course not.
Well, I'm going to put 5555 Westminster on notice then, to not become DeCarry Square and treat their building as a billboard. I would appreciate building owners in the city following the model of the town of Mount Royal by beautifying the facade of their buildings and not using them for advertising purposes, because that is not the purpose of a building, especially a street-facing building and a busy street-facing building like on
So what's his comments?
Westminster.
That's his comments. He's still
Are you voting for it? You have not, you proposed it. You can't,
Well, obviously,
can't vote
he
against it if you proposed it.
but he can still have his comments.
No, you can't.
So then you're moving it.
No.
This is a tiny item on a podium sign.
But then,
But
I'll speak
he
to
said
this
he's
one.
voting for it. He's voting for it, but
But I just
he's
wanna-
speaking
It's
against
a tiny
the
item on a
idea.
podium sign
But-
that contains too much information, because they're using the podium sign
He's
for
voting
marketing
for it.
purposes.
It's comments, it's
A podium
okay.
sign should be just straight for information of who is in the building.
Okay.
Period.
But-
Now, anyway, we have more comments and more discussion here, but we
My
need to vote
comments
on it.
are
First, it was
above and
moved
beyond.
by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Erdely, and now you discuss.
So
Okay.
just to add my 2 cents on this one.
No.
No, he's discussing.
So I will say, so just to be clear,
Oh,
actually maybe.
you give him the phone so he can have his
Yeah.
opinion.
So
Recorded
this,
very well.
Just to note, this sign or these signs are there because we got into an argument with the police department.
Yeah.
And the police department refused, the SPDM refused to have an English sign on the building. So what we said is,
With Ruth in the room.
well, my opinion at the time was that we should fine the police every day until they put it up bilingually, but I didn't win that one. But regardless, we did, what we did is we put this sign, actually it's on city land. This sign is
The
on...
podium.
Sorry, the podium is on
We
city
insisted
land.
they build a
We
podium.
insisted they build a podium because we wanted to put a bilingual sign because they were worried about it, and we said we're going to put it on city land, so if they want to find someone, they could find the city.
Because they removed the decal.
Because
on
they
the window.
removed, they had a decal initially that said police, neighborhood police station, and that was too much English. So because of that, we put our own, asked them to put a podium. They put a podium that now says Poste de Calche, and it does say neighborhood police station. And because of that, we knew other tenants would put their sign, but what I will say is the signs so far in general are bilingual.
Bilingual,
Which
exactly.
I'm happy to say. So I would say you may be right that there are maybe a few too many signs on the building, but I'm happy to say that the 2 signs we are adopting tonight both have English and French on them, which is the intention of this. And if the language police want to come find the city, then, it'll be part of our court date on September 30th, and I'll find them back.
All right. See you on September 30th.
What's that?
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously with lots of comments. And now we go to the next one, which is also on Westminster.
On the same.
Same side.
Oh, God.
It's another podium. Okay, hold on, where we were at.
RVO aide auditif.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm on the correct one.
Page 405.
That was Clinique Auditive, so now we're on
Page 405.
405. Yep. So be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the installation of a sign in the existing freestanding sign for RVO Ed Auditive on lot 105 3808 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of July 9, 2024 be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski and seconded by Councillor Sabat. No, Councillor Erdely, right, it's your district.
It's my district,
And
sorry.
you're the one, and it's you like those signs. So
And
moved and
it's-
seconded.
And it's bilingual.
Yeah,
And it's
another
bilingual. The bilingual sign.
Directly below the.
Councillor Italy, it's moved and seconded. Any more discussion on that sign? No? All in favor? Same discussion as before, approved unanimously. And now we move to King Edward, Councillor Burku.
No, Councillor
You'll
Kajowski.
second.
Oh yeah, Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Burku.
All right, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding property located at 5581 King Edward, lot 1561503, being is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1957 under permit number 1955-00144 to maintain its current front setback at a minimum of 4 meters instead of the minimum required setback of 4.57 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Annex B, Zone RU-5, Article 441.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
No, simple minor exemption to regulate a front setback by.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to the stance. Councillor Sabag, stance at the Aglo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that
Give
council
him the
take.
phone.
Sorry. Be it resolved, I'm going to say that loud. The council take the following stance in view of any agglomeration council meetings to be held in September 2024 as follows: to authorize the mayor or his duly authorized replacement to make any decisions he deems necessary and is in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in September 2024 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Kajowski. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to other business. Any second question period from Elaine Yeagot or Joel Goldberg? Nope. Okay.
Oh, Elaine has a question.
I know what Elaine's question is.
First lady has a question.
Why
Why is it so cold in here?
I'd like to know if you're going to declare me the winner of your contest where you freeze everybody out. And if so,
You win. You
I
win.
want my prize to be a little portable heater for the next meeting.
A heater.
I'll bring you one. I have one.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you all.